Hey guys, I'm here to do another eyeshadow anti-haul video. As I said in my last video, eyeshadow palettes are my biggest weakness. Every single brand, every single collection, there's just so many different eyeshadow colors to play with, and it feels like there is no eyeshadow that is exactly the same, so I can always justify in my mind why I want to get a certain palette. But as we all know, when it comes down to it, most of our eyeshadow palettes are highly neglected in our collection, and that's because one can't possibly get through every single eyeshadow that you may want to have in your collection. I'm here to help myself and to help you with some more rational and practical thinking before making an eyeshadow purchase. I literally went back on my own word the other day and purchased the Modern Renaissance Anastasia eyeshadow palette. And of course, I love it so much and I think it is beautiful. But when I really look at those colors in that palette and compare to eyeshadow colors that I already have, pretty comparable. So you know what, we all fell down sometimes, but whatever, makeup is makeup, and if you do end up giving into some temptation like I just did, it's not a big deal, because this eyeshadow palette saga can be one of my biggest money holes and reasons why I feel like my makeup collection is a little bit overwhelming. I've honed into a particular website recently that I'm very tempted to make a purchase. It is called Beauty Bay. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this website. What is the most tempting about this website is the different array of products that they offer that includes free shipping anywhere in Canada over 35 Canadian dollars, which is pretty amazing. It's like I could buy 3 Makeup Geek eyeshadow singles and it would be free shipping, which is very much unheard of in the Canadian market. Free shipping for us Canadians can be very challenging to attain. And when I hear the word free shipping, it is almost as tempting as a sale. What I also like about Beauty Bay is that they include a lot of makeup that Sephora does not carry. A lot of more indie makeup brands that you hear of a lot on YouTube that is just very hard to get your hands on when you're in Canada. I can't promise that I'm not going to one day in the future buy one of these products that I mentioned today, but hopefully it will just give me some reasonable, level-headed rationale to convince myself and remind myself why I don't need any of these eyeshadow palettes. And you don't either. Okay, well this one is pretty easy. Looks to be an Oprah eyeshadow palette, and it is $135.60 for how many eyeshadows? 4 times 5, 20 eyeshadow. And boy, is the color scheme very, very cool toned, very, very dark. You know, of course, as I look at it, there are some colors in here that are a little bit interesting. You know, the yellow, the purpley, and the green eyeshadow look interesting, but I have no idea why this is so expensive. $135? Like, Oprah, I mean, from everything that I've heard about Oprah, I don't think Oprah has very good packaging. I don't think their ingredients are all that outstanding. I think they just really overprice their products and provide a lot of heavy discount codes because they're very much like a social media brand, right? Like, you know, 30% off with one of the beauty influencer codes. Anyways, there's just no temptation with this particular eyeshadow palette. I mean, I have yet to meet a single person who prefers cool-toned, dark eyeshadows. The thing that I find for cool-toned eyeshadows, particularly for myself, is that it really sucks the life out of my skin. So really, no to the price and no to the color selection. Okay, so this next one is definitely right up my alley. It's the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. It's, you know, it's reasonably priced, $71.70. I do know that Violet Voss is known for their very smooth, buttery, highly pigmented colors, so I have a feeling that the quality is gonna be there. But when I look at the colors, there is absolutely nothing that stands out in terms of anything that I don't already have. Every single shade is gorgeously warm and everyday looking. But the problem is I already have these colors and you probably do too. I mean, come on. Who are we kidding? Like, who am I kidding? I do not need this eyeshadow palette. And when you stare at this palette for a while, all the colors just start to blend into one and it's just, yeah. Where's that pop? Like, where's that bedazzle? Where is that, like, what is that color? There's nothing like that here. So the BhCosmetics 120 eyeshadow palette, 6th edition. I don't really know what that means. I mean, it's only $31, so it's quite tempting. I mean, it's all the colors of the rainbow, all the colors that you could possibly want. But I know that every time I see an eyeshadow collection where somebody owns one of these 120 pan palettes, I have all these colors and they're not bad, you know, they're not bad in terms of pigmentation. They're really not that bad, but I just never use it. But I'll just keep it in my collection because you just never know. But I never use it. Don't really remember when was last time I used it, but I'll just keep it around. No. There's a reason why people never use these kind of eyeshadow palettes. There's just 1,000,001 colors and it's just so overwhelming, so impractical. The size of the palettes, I mean, when I look at my own collection, some of my biggest palettes that I own are the ones that I rarely ever use because it's like, oh, okay, it's like a make work project. It's like, okay, I gotta mentally prepare myself to open this palette, to pick out a great look out of this ginormous palette because it's just so impractical. But I mean, the colors are really pretty, but there's just no way. I just can't justify it. How often should you really be buying eyeshadow palettes and eyeshadows? Wouldn't you want to invest in a particular single that is just screaming your name, that you're just so fascinated with and that you know the quality's there? Instead of buying all these bulk, mass-produced, I mean, questionable quality, lasting power, very questionable. For me, buying high quality eyeshadow palettes is so very important because as someone who has mono hooded eyelids, it's so important to have eyeshadow that has lasting power because at the end of the day, when you've gone through an entire, 12, 17-hour day and you've had just no time to even think and look at your makeup, and then you finally, at the end of the day, look at your makeup and your eyeshadow is just, everywhere, pooling here, creasing there. I mean, it's just a tragedy. You definitely want to invest in higher quality eyeshadow palettes. I feel that eyeshadow lasting power is something that people don't very much talk about anymore. As long as they're buttery and pigmented and swatch well, gosh, they must be amazing. But I have Makeup Revolution palettes that swatch and are very pigmented, but they do not last on the eye, and it's just ugh. So the Bijou Royal Shimmer eyeshadow palette, initially when I looked at it, I was like, nope, not the right color scheme, way too cool toned, way too expensive, no thank you. And then when I look at it a little bit more, the colors are quite interesting. They're not, I'm sure you've seen blues, I'm sure you've seen greens, and I'm sure you've seen purples, but the tones are just a little bit unique, and so it makes me wonder, like the name of it sounds pretty fascinating, Bijou Royal Shimmer, like that sounds really fancy and intriguing, and no, because when you look at the whole palette, there are some interesting but not very reasonable colors to work with, if you know what I mean. It's not a palette that you can just take it and go. You know, it's very much a palette that you want to be creative with. But for me, I would rather pick out ColourPop eyeshadow singles for unique, interesting pops of color versus an entire eyeshadow palette that is way overpriced and that is very questionable whether you're gonna use it much, if at all. So that's my take on that eyeshadow palette. It's pretty, it's interesting, but it's not very wearable, not very everyday, and way too cool tone for my liking. So the BhCosmetics Shan XO 18 color eyeshadow and lipstick palette. I mean, all of that for $28, that's pretty good. But, and it's very, very tempting now that I'm looking at it. And I have heard some really great reviews in regards to how affordable and how high quality it is for the price. But I'm still going to stick with no thank you because come on guys, you know, if we really look at the eyeshadow colors, so basic, so neutral, so dupeable. Your current eyeshadow palette collection can absolutely dupe every single one of these colors, give or take, and the lipstick palette, you know, I'm sure you have enough lipsticks to satisfy any of those needs as well. So really, I mean, you're just getting it for the sake of getting it and for the packaging and for the fact that it is really cute and really well put together. They're gonna get lost in your collection? Absolutely, most likely will be. So don't buy it, you don't need it. This is a little bit tricky because the Morphe 35 OM is on this website and it's only $37.40. So that means it's, you know, that is the price that you're gonna pay because you have free shipping. And I mean, the 35O is just raved about like there is no tomorrow. So yeah, looking at the colors, looking at the oranges, looking at my love for warm eyeshadow palettes, very, 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 very tempting, but matte colors, you know, when I'm looking for those really gorgeous pops of colors, I'm not looking for a matte color. So there's just way too many browns in this eyeshadow palette and nothing else other than the oranges, which I would definitely want to be shimmer. So yeah, no. Now that I've talked it through, like there's no reason. There's no reason for me to buy this. It's huge too. Like where would I put that in my collection? Like I have nowhere to store it and it would just be a nuisance simply based on the size. So that's another good reason why I'm not gonna get that and why you shouldn't get it either. It's getting harder and harder, you know. That darn Jeffree Star, like his first beauty killer palette, I was like, okay, nope, nope. It's really fun, it's really tempting, but I can very reasonably tell myself that these colors I'm not gonna use enough of. And then he goes out and puts together the Androgyny palette, which is very right up my alley, very, oh my gosh, look at the colors, they're beautiful. Ugh. But you know what? Thankfully, I already have a lot of these colors in my collection. You know, I even splurged on a Makeup Forever Trio eyeshadow palette that is like top of the line quality, and they were all reddish tones, so you know that need is covered with that palette. And other than that gorgeous orangey shade in the middle, you know, the other colors are already have in my collection. So if you're one of the few people without such a ridiculous palette collection, you could probably justify getting this one because I've heard some great reviews of it, and it is beautiful and it is unique and it is fun. But if you are like the 99% of the people that watch these kind of makeup anti-haul or kind of beauty related videos, just look at your own collection. I mean, come on, take a look at your own collection, and there's just no arguing, there's no rationale, nope. Okay, so the Kevyn Aucoin Essential Eyeshadow Palette. You know, when I think of Kevyn Aucoin, I think of very high quality, very luxury, very excellent reputation, and so it's like, oh yeah, this eyeshadow palette is my everyday palette. You know, I'm gonna invest on a really high quality, you know, not a very overwhelming palette that I can use for my everyday look, for my work look. It looks like something that you really want to invest in, right? No. When you look at the colors, there's nothing to deepen your crease whatsoever. You're just gonna look washed out, probably. You know, that is my one rationale for you not to get this eyeshadow palette, is that the colors are too light. There's nothing to deepen your crease, so you gotta pass. You just gotta pass. I hope I was able to convince at least a couple of you guys to just really critically think before you press that checkout button. I do think that Beauty Bay has a lot of potential. They have such interesting brands that they carry that I haven't been able to find anywhere else, because it's so fun to buy makeup and everything is just so beautiful and fun to play with. You can still see that I have an extreme love for makeup, and if you have gotten any of these products, let me know how they are. I mean, are they great? Should I buy it? Because it probably won't take much for me to bite the bullet. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.